what are some of the things maybe that your typical football fan doesn't know about training camp and what goes on and what's important to the coaches and players? And can you give us an insider look?
Man, Mark, one of the biggest things is people don't understand. You're literally dealing with like a 16-hour day, and it's all surrounded by football. Okay, you got your early morning wake up call, which is about 5:45 for your 6 a.m. You're either see, I could go through the schedule here. So you got a 6 a.m. mandatory team meeting. You got the crust in your eyes, got the water jugs in your hand, and you come and walk in with your slides. You come sit in the auditorium, and one of the GAs or QCs or student assistants comes up, and they go down the entire list, 100 plus people, reading off, and they here, here, here. You go through attendance, and that takes about 15 minutes. You go from that to you split off into your personal meetings. Okay, you go in and you sit down. Let's say for the defensive line, defensive ends, defensive tackles, they go in and sit, they talk. Then we go over what we're going to do for the day. That could be an hour, 30 minutes to an hour. Let's go with an hour for sake of time. So it's 7:30, and now you had your attendance. Okay, we're here on time. We made it to our meetings. We discussed what the day is going to be, where you need to be, what time things are. Here are all of your itineraries for everything that you have personally. Okay, make sure you got your water on you, making sure that we're staying hydrated the entire time. Go from that. You have mandatory breakfast at about 8 a.m. After that, then you go to your first lifting session. And sometimes you can split it up into offense or defense. You can go into big boys and skill position, however you want to break it up. But at the highest level, usually you have a big enough facility where everyone can fit in. But like, again, I can speak to what we do. So we split it up sometimes. And so let's say, for example, if it's big boys in the weight room with them, you would go outside and you would do a 7-on-7 walkthrough early in the morning. So we're going to do this for our noon practice, okay? But we want to make sure that we're walking through. We're going over it. We're doing our hand gestures. What happens when we go from 3x1 to 2x2? What happens when that tight end comes from inline out to the slot receiver? What happens when a running back goes from in the backfield over to one of the, let's say you're in a pistol and he goes from back here to the right side or to the left side of the running of the quarterback. What are we doing? What are our calls? What are our adjustments? Things of that nature. We're going to walk through it. Then you're going to have, some people, Mark, have different levels of walkthroughs. So you have simple walkthroughs where we're just standing there, or it sounds like a game in there and they're screaming and Roger, move, 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 move. They're screaming, and we're trying to create that type of atmosphere because when you go and play at these games, it's going to be loud. We're not talking, okay? And then you're going to have the receiver, you got backup defensive players out there running routes and things of that nature, and you're supposed to cover, and the QB throws the ball and tip the ball in the air on purpose. The DB catches the ball. You yell, Oski, Oski, Oski. You make sure everybody's creating that line, a wall down. The cornerback runs down. We get in the end zone. We celebrate. Boom, we do it all over again. Okay, so that takes you probably about, let's say, 10 o'clock with meetings. And you're going to have your special teams meetings, okay? Then you're also going to be ready for your very first practice. So that's kind of where the morning goes. So you're going to have your second weight room session sometime in there. You're also going to have your second walkthrough. You're going to have film from the first practice. You're going to have your evening practice at 4 or 5 o'clock. Then you go through all of that. You got shower time. You have your dinner. You're also going to have film from your second practice. You're going to have your evening stretch. You're going to have your evening meeting. Lights out at 10:30. We're starting all over again tomorrow morning at 5:30. So it can be pretty intense, man. And you're talking about 20 to 28 days of some rigorous hours. And the tough part about it is being able to have leadership in your program, Mark, to where the older guys can pull along the young guys who are full of energy and excited. And what happens when you have a bad practice? What happens when you show up late to a meeting? What happens when you're not lifting the way that you used to because your body is just beat on and you're tired and you're sore? Being able to really have that that type of leadership to pull a young man aside to where a coach doesn't have to say anything. And the coach might be chewing your behind. Why aren't you running hard enough? Why are you? And the older players able to just pull you, hey, just keep going. Just keep going. Just keep showing up. Okay. And being there 5 minutes early, being there 10 minutes, beating coaches to the film rooms and things of that nature, making sure we're not walking on the football field. There's a lot of things that come into it. And when you have great leadership on a team, man, it makes a lot of that stuff so much easier, because even for us on the sideline, I mean, we get chewed out too. If the defensive coordinator just called the play where that defensive line is supposed to be slanting, and your through technique didn't slant, he's not going after the young man. He's finding whoever the defensive line, whether it's the interior defensive line coach or the full defensive line coach, and that person's getting the earful. And that's why that coach goes off on the player. I told you it was slant right. What are you doing? Because the defensive coordinator just chewed his behind, man. But that's somewhat of the negative things. It also turns into such a great camaraderie because you spend so much time with your brothers in arms, and you also develop some great relationships and great friendships that 5, 10, 15 years after you're done playing, you still can call that person. And you still build, your kids may even call him an uncle, and that's not really his brother. Those type of things happen a lot in these practices, and you build good rapport. Like I keep talking about leadership, Mark, because it's nothing like it, man. It's nothing like having those older guys in a program showing the people under them, so the seniors and the juniors know what it is, because the seniors and juniors before them really help build that rapport and build the core. So the sophomores, freshmen, redshirt freshmen, kind of running around with their heads cut off, trying to keep up. But it's all about being able to keep that one-on-one relationship with the older guys and your big brothers in the program, really holding things together, so that, there's times where players have early meetings. Defensive line or linebackers all meet an hour before we start scrimmages, or hour before. Hey, we're going to hurry up and eat our breakfast. We're going to go have our own film session. We're going to go have our own walkthrough before we go have walkthrough together as a defense, because I don't need you getting chewed out. And we're not going to do up downs. We're not going to do burpees or crab crawls or whatever, because you don't know where you're supposed to be on this defensive call. So we're going to walk it over. We're going to talk it out. We're going to go on the board. And it's just helping one another grow. And, man, it's so much that happens. It can be very stressful. It can be really worn down on your body and mentally. But when you make it out of it, it's a very exciting achievement to be able to make it through some of these camps, because they can be rigorous, man. They can be very, very rigorous, but it's exciting. And every week that we talk, it's a new week, and it's closer and closer and closer. And for me, it starts on August 5th, and for the Canes, it starts on August 6th. So I already have a nice kickstart on camp before the Canes get to it 24 hours after me. So things are going to be fun and exciting for both of us. And I think it's going to be a good season. And I'm hoping we're about to get into a couple of the position battles and things of that nature to keep an eye out on a little bit from now. So